Hi and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today, we take a look at what is probably the hottest new release from Casio in 2019, the GA2100. I also did a detailed tutorial on this watch, so if you purchased yours and want to know everything about using its functions, or if you just changed your battery and the hands have gone mad, click here to go to that video. Like I said, this watch has exploded in popularity since it got released, and even YouTube channels that mostly do higher-end watches took interest in this. The reason for that is not some spectacular new tech, as the module in this is a basic analog digital module we have seen on numerous G-Shocks so far. It is not even solar powered, nor does it come with advanced time setting technologies like atomic radio reception, GPS capability, or Bluetooth connectivity that we see on so many new releases. So, if it lacks all those technologies, why is it more popular and getting a lot more attention than all those releases? The answer is the design. This has to be one of the best looking G-Shocks Casio has released ever since the original Square. The original 5000 and 5600 were a pure example of form follows function principle, where everything on the watch had a purpose. There were no additional surfaces or bulges on it added just for looks. Everything was purely functional. And usually, when something is designed from a functional standpoint, it ages well, which is the case with the Square G-Shock. After that, Casio expanded on the style and bulkiness of their offerings, with the culmination coming in the last few years with the huge and chunky Mudmasters and even the new Rangeman. Although those watches have their market, and some people identify large chunky watches with the name G-Shock, a whole new market of people wanting something simpler and less toyish was waiting on something like this. This watch goes back to the simple formula of making a regular watch and then adding just enough protection in the areas that are needed to make sure it passes the G-Shock resistance tests. That is also the reason why this looks so similar to the original Square. All the surfaces are basically the same, with just the proportions being slightly different. This has resulted in a watch that looks a lot more serious than other G-Shocks while still looking like a G-Shock. I will admit part of the popularity among watch lovers can be attributed to the fact the watch has a very Gerald Genta look, which is why a lot of people are already calling this a Casio Royal Oak or AP G-Shock, and I personally don't see anything bad about it. Another reason for the popularity is the size. With the rest of the watch world slowly moving back to normal sizes after the big watches trend of the last decade, I'm glad Casio is doing the same. So this watch is 45mm in width, which might seem like a lot, but when you consider the lug-to-lug of just over 48, the watch wears a lot like a regular Square, which is one of the smallest G-Shocks you can buy. It is just slightly wider, while lug-to-lug is actually shorter. What makes it appear slightly larger is the fact the lug area is smaller and the dial larger, while on a Square, the dial is squeezed together a bit, making the lug area longer. I personally love the dimensions of this thing, and I have to admit it wears very comfortably. Helping the comfort is the weight of just 51 grams and the lack of thickness. With just 11.8mm, this is the thinnest G-Shock currently in production. But I have to say not the thinnest ever, as that title goes to the GA-2100, a watch that was just 11mm thick while still retaining all the G-Shock properties. Sadly, that watch was released just as the big watches trend was exploding, resulting in poor sales and Casio canceling it. Maybe the success of this makes Casio bring it back, as that watch was great, but just introduced at the wrong time. But back to the watch in question. This amazing thinness and overall simpler look, while still retaining the toughness we're used to seeing on G-Shocks, is achieved using the carbon core guard case construction. After GA2000, this is another entry-level model that uses the center case made out of carbon-reinforced plastic, allowing usage of less material for the same level of strength. So this watch is a fully fledged G-Shock with all the shock resistance and the same 200-meter water resistance we're used to. Function-wise, it is pretty simple like I already said. It comes with a world time function, a 24-hour stopwatch that can measure down to 1/100th of a second, a 24-hour countdown timer settable down to a second, and 5 alarms. All that is powered by a regular battery that you will have to change every 3 to 5 years, depending on the frequency of usage of the said functions. The watch is currently available in 3 colors: this blacked out stealth model, the regular black with bright white markers and hands, and the all red. Personally, although this stealthy model looks the best because the lettering on the bezel is not painted, I think you're better off in getting the simple black and white model, because the legibility on this is awful. Don't get me wrong, during the day the 3D markers give enough contrast using shadows to make it readable, but in the dark, things fall apart for this variant. The lume on the hands is pretty poor, since it is also blacked out, while the LED backlight does a great job at making the digital display visible, but is pretty much useless when it comes to the rest of the dial. I will say though that this is the only negative I have about this model. The rest is just amazing, and I'm glad to see Casio going down this route. I'm pretty sure they will capitalize on the instant success of this, so I do believe we can expect a lot more variants with different colors to come out soon. Maybe even variants with different types of straps, like the GA-2000, as this also comes with quick release pins on the strap. What I would love to see, however, and definitely buy regardless of the price, would be a steel bezel and bracelet variant of this. Just imagine it with a steel brushed octagon bumper and polished sides. I can almost guarantee it would outsell the all-steel square currently in production. Although the all-steel version would probably cost a lot, this variant is quite affordable at $99. So if you're unsure about this model, you won't break the bank getting one. Plus, you will have no problem flipping it if you decide you don't like it, since they're currently sold out everywhere and are actually sold above retail price on eBay. Well, that completes this week's video, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and until the next video, bye.